Good day everyone and welcome to another vlog for the Exodus 7 to 12 KJV project. Now today I get to start off with something interesting, and that is Eevee. Now a lot of you guys know about Blender's new render engine being in production, all that kind of stuff. This week I felt led to just, it took about an afternoon or a day while other stuff was rendering. I felt like God told me to get Toon shading working in Eevee. And I had tried this before and it failed miserably. So when I downloaded it, I was hoping that the Cycles Toon shader would be working already. So it would be like a breeze to get it done. But no. It did not go that way. In fact, I got so frustrated I wanted to just delete the thing multiple times. So I'm going to play you the result and then I'm going to show you how it works. As you can see, the shadows are fairly jagged. That's because of the lamp. The lamp does not give you the option of changing the resolution of the shadow, at least not yet. So unfortunately, the shadows are fairly harsh. They're supposed to be harsh in one sense, but not, jagged. Okay, so I'm going to show you the node setup for this. Okay, so this is the node setup for it. I'm going to take you through it, so don't worry about the resolution of the video. So first of all, I'm using a metallic shader that Eevee just gives you by default. The reason I'm using this one is because I tried every other shader that Eevee should be able to work with in terms of the ones that I knew worked, and of course this default one. And this one produces the best result, this metallic one. So, yeah. Okay, so getting back over here, obviously this technique is normal based so that the material is physically incapable of producing smooth shadows apart from what the lamp will do. So you have to flat out your normals. This one is for the outline, comic-like outline that you saw, because Eevee obviously doesn't support freestyle, at least not yet. So what you do is you flatten out your normals based on, you just eyeball it, basically. I do it by leading, and this was the result for it. So this one is completely white. This one is partially white, as you can see over there, and this one is pretty much completely black. It is completely black, actually. So one is black, one is white, and one is partial. And that you combine again. You separate it out, so you combine it again so that you can normalize it over itself. I don't know if that makes much of a difference in terms of the math, but it makes a huge difference in terms of the visual. So then that just goes into your normal output. And of course, I do try to amplify the specular value based on the Fresnel, or block it out based on the Fresnel, so that that black edge doesn't get highlighted. And of course, we do have our base color, which is a mixture of the Fresnel, which produces that comic style thing. And of course, our ambient occlusion produces a slight luminosity based on the environmental color of the scene. So if you change your background color to completely black, this thing becomes useless. So it has to be at least 0.001 or something along those lines for this addition to work. It's not necessary, but it helps. It's just one of those things. And then of course that just goes to your material output. So it's not a perfect thing. For example, you have to have two lamps, one casting shadow and one that does not, because this material does respond to light. But I found that with two light sources, you get amazing results, like I just showed you guys. One with shadow turned on, one without. So, yeah, that's pretty much how this little material works. It's not complicated. One black, one white, one partial. Anyway, so moving on to the shots for this week. So last week we stopped at this shot, and I told you guys how to create that shake in the hand, which is really, really cool. And then, of course, he tells them out. Now, they have to go out. Otherwise, they would be assisted out. And in order to get that done, Aaron still has to pick up his rod, you know, the serpent thing by the tail, because that's exactly how God told Moses to do it. So, of course, that had to be done first before they can go out. I also did that in the storyboards. So he tells them to get out. Soldier gets ready, gets that mad expression, which I tried to show you guys last week, but didn't happen. And then, of course, he goes to pick it up. So he reaches out for it and grabs it. There. Transforms back into a rod. Now, I didn't try to hide anything when this happened. Unfortunately, the camera just cut it off. You know, in order to have this be full frame, this pickup moment, you know, over here. Unfortunately, the camera has to move a lot faster to get the whole stick in for the whole transformation, which is unfortunate, but just one of those things. I really like this shot a lot. I made sure that this thing works from any angle. So I made sure that you can check this shot out from every angle, giving me the option to shoot it any way I want to, except towards the doorway. Because there's no trees or anything like that. This is pretty much just one of those enclosed type scenes. And I didn't put a background behind the door that you can see through. So unfortunately, this is not like a properly full scene that you can shoot from Pharaoh's perspective easily, which is unfortunate because I think that could have added another angle to the whole mix. But I'm fairly happy with it because the whole thing is about not really being on the side of Moses and Aaron, but definitely, what's the word? Being an observer that has many angles. That's the whole goal of this thing. It's eyewitness testimony that you're trying to put through as accurately as possible. So anyway, so there he transforms. This is the wave modifier, just in case you were curious about it. It's the wave modifier, and of course it's set to influence only the areas outside of where his hand grabs. And because the tail is thicker than the hands close, the tail does kind of push through. But thankfully it happens so fast you barely notice it. Well, I hope you barely notice. So anyway, he does his last little call thing and transforms back into a rod. And of course, bounces it on the floor like that. And then he starts looking at Pharaoh, and then we fade to our next shot. Oh yeah. So the next shot is just where they walk out. This was thankfully one of the easiest shots so far because I had already done them walking in. All I had to do is just turn them around and walk them back out. Same shot. So what I did is I just imported Moses and Aaron with those walk cycles active and with the empty that pulled them in and all that kind of stuff, and literally just flipped that around and moved them into their correct positions because Moses was on this side and Aaron was on this side, as you can see over here. There. So it couldn't be suddenly Moses on this side and Aaron on that side. It had to be consistent. And of course, Moses is over here, but you can't see him because of the distance between them for the lizard thingy to land. And of course, the focus is on Aaron picking it up. So he's not removed. It just looks like it. But he's actually physically standing there over here, literally just outside the frame. It's very ironic. And then, of course, there's the walkout, which had to be slow motion. And this is actually where God led me to use the lazy man's motion blur as a creative choice to create the slow motion effect. So you can see there with the stick. See as he moves it, you can see that it's got this kind of trail going. So this thing runs at half speed. It was rendered at normal speed, but it's reduced to half speed to purposefully create a slow motion effect, where God then speaks to Moses. And the cool part about this scene is that the focus becomes on Moses. Even if you try to look at Aaron, your face comes back to Moses because he's in the forefront. So you know God is speaking to him, at least subconsciously. because you're listening to what God is speaking and He is your focus, basically. Yeah. Anyway, so what happens then is they fade out, but unfortunately the shot's too long for the dialogue, so I had to shorten it. I had to shorten the next shot as well, which we're getting to now. So God tells Moses to get himself unto the river in the morning and to stand against the angle from which Pharaoh will be coming to the water. I wrote about this in the post concerning the whole river and the boat and all that kind of other stuff. It's interesting, to say the least. So I'm not going to talk about it now. You have to go check out the post. Ha! So then Pharaoh comes walking out, all suave and happy, with the whole incident with the serpents behind him. Oh, just the most peaceful person on the face of the earth. And of course, who would he find waiting for him but Moses? And that's just the coolest. So, I want to show you guys these shots in their full motion. Okay, so what I do want to do is I want to show you guys this one with the audio from about there. I think he starts speaking there. Okay, so this is the audio.
Pharaoh's heart is hardened, he refuseth to let the people go. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink against thee come. And the rod which was turned into a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand, and thou shalt say unto him.
I definitely have to turn down that river sound, but when you listen to it over speakers, it's really not that loud. I'm using headphones when I'm doing these vlogs, so it sounds like super, super loud. So I definitely have to check that out. But I'm very happy with the look.
The rod which was turned into a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand, and thou shalt say unto him.
I'm especially proud of his hair. His hair looks so cool. I know you can't really see much of it in the fuzziness of it all, but I can show you guys what the shot looks like without the fuzziness. And there we have the hair. As you can see, it's not perfect, but I really like the fluidity of it. It's really, really cool. I made it to blow this way instead of towards the wall because of the reasoning that if he stands by a wall where there's a lot of wind, the wind might actually reflect, can I say, off the wall and actually blow his hair both ways, not just away from the wall. Because it can also create a vacuum if it blows past him like this. It just depends on the wind and the day and all that kind of fun stuff. So, of course, we also have the palm trees blowing. We've got his hair moving. Of course, you can't see it in his clothes, but his clothes are also blowing in the wind. So it's a very cool shot. Unfortunately, I had to shorten this shot a lot as well, but it's not the worst. As for the river sounds, though, I also went back to the start of the whole thing, and I added that same river sound that I just played you guys with Pharaoh, the real, roaring kind of river. It's not always like that the river is very busy to create that sound. I was kind of surprised, actually. But no, it definitely can sound like that. So this is what it sounds like before optimizing it with the new river sound.
See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth mine armies, and my people the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord.
And that's basically it. I do have to turn it down a lot, especially while listening on the headphones, like I said earlier. But I do like that sound more than the trickle from before, which is also there. But yeah, the kind of rapids sound has to be brought down a lot because it has to be in the distance, you know? Yeah. So I also worked on some wind noise this week. And unfortunately, because of noise pollution or whatever, you have to record something like 10 or 20 minutes just to get like 2 or 3 of clean sound. Because there's always a plane coming over, or dogs barking, or birds being super loud, which is kind of ironic for birds. Or you're getting all sorts of roof sounds, you know, things falling on the roof and that sort of thing, which isn't consistent with the time period. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to watch out for. So I'm going to play you guys one with a fairly strong pickup with some strong birds as well. You can hear the difference with the level of the wind itself, and of course that one specific bird that keeps chirping, like, you know, it's just ridiculous. So I did one where I cut that out. I think it's this one. I specifically left that little dog in there because the Bible does talk about there being dogs in Egypt. So if the wind blows heavily and dogs bark, you know, that's the one thing you can actually leave in. The only issue is for the scene where the wind blows day and night to bring the locusts, you know, you won't really find the dogs barking like that at night because of the wind. I mean, they may, it's a possibility, but the birds would be fairly silent in general. So I don't know. I'll just pick some clean areas and try and use that for the nighttime scene. It's only a few seconds, so it shouldn't be the biggest issue. So interesting. This morning I added, you know, the rest of the dialogue as well. Not all of it, just, you know, the next section where God tells him, you know, this you shall say, and then Moses speaks, you know, that part. And of course, where God says to him, say unto Aaron, and then he says the next thing. And that next thing, where he tells him to stretch out his the rod over the rivers of Egypt and the waters of Egypt so that it would become blood. The file I put in there was for the frogs, and I thought that I had not recorded the dialogue exactly because one part of the paragraph was missing. I was super relieved to find that it was the wrong file. So it's actually recorded right. I don't have to go and record any additional stuff, at least not that I know of. Also, remember to check out the Defocus tutorial. I did one specifically teaching this technique that teaches you how to get these nice cleaned backgrounds and foregrounds that are blurred properly. So you can check that out as well. You can see the result here too. So anyway, that's it. Have a great one, and God bless you.